the side effects of toxic relationships. Maybe you have just realized you're in a toxic relationship and you're wondering like, okay, what is this doing to me? Maybe you've already realized you were in one and you're starting to experience different ways that you feel, different things that are manifesting physically for you, health issues, different things. And you're just like, is it the relationship that's doing this to me? Because a lot of times when we are dealing with toxic people, narcissistic people, we're so quick to say that, no, it's me, I'm going crazy. Or other people may even say, no, you're being paranoid, it's not that serious. You know, society will make you feel like you are being dramatic. So before we get into that, let me just tell you, you are not being dramatic. You are not crazy. These are abnormal situations. These are abnormal people, and it will create abnormal feelings and experiences that you're having. So I want to give you a little bit of clarity about the side effects that comes along with a toxic relationship. It's not just about how you're feeling in the moment, but it does have an impact on you on a whole, on your life. So I'm going to give you 4 today. There's many more, but I'm going to give you 4. If you want more, we can talk about more. Just put it in the comments below, okay? So the first one I want you to be aware of, get a pen and paper if you really want to analyze yourself after you watch this video, okay? The first one is you function more in your masculine energy instead of in your feminine energy. Now, I know this whole masculine, feminine energy is very trendy right now, but for those of you who have been here with me a while, you know I'm not really into the trends. I'm into results. I'm into you getting the transformation so you are not in this dark place anymore. Okay, so what do I mean by you're functioning more in your masculine energy than in your feminine energy? Let me give you an example. From my background, I left home at the age of 12. When I say I left home, I was living with other people. My parents are from the Caribbean, born in the U.S., grew up between the U.S. and the Caribbean, and at a certain age in the Caribbean, in the island that I was in, it's very common that you go away for school. However, in my case, I went away earlier. My mom passed. I was being raised by my dad, and we decided to be sent abroad earlier. So I went back to the U.S., to New Jersey specifically. And as I was going through my healing journey, and this is something I do with my clients, which is very powerful, is to understand who you are and why you make the decisions that you made. And I realized in my healing journey was that I am very structured. I am very assertive, and I don't mind taking charge and control because that is what I've had to do from a young age. Right? When you leave home and you don't have mom and dad, even if you are with other adults who do love and care for you, it's still a different type of dynamics than when you're with mom and dad. So I realize I don't have a problem taking charge. I don't have a problem asserting myself, advocating for myself. I have a strong personality in that way, and I understand that that's how you need to be in life in order to get things done, right? You can't be timid and quiet and afraid to take action. You have to be ready to put, what is it, the pedal to the metal, right? However, again, as I was going through my healing journey, I realized that when you are in a healthy relationship with a man, you have to allow a man to play his role as a man, right? And as much as we are trying to be, progressive and, we're all equal, we're equal in that we are all human and we're all valuable, but we have different roles. Okay, so don't let society lie to you and tell you that, no, we all have the same role. No, we don't. Men and women were created differently, and we all have a role to play in society and within the relationship dynamics. Now, here was my downfall. Because I was so used to functioning in a very in charge type of way, and you can also say somewhat masculine energy when necessary, I brought that into my relationship. And what I realized is that it's okay to bring it into your relationship because that's how you have been surviving, right? When you go into a healthy relationship with a man whose intentions are pure, whose intentions are to play his role, whose intentions are to provide, protect, support, build you up, as it should be vice versa as well, right? You are then able to let that masculine energy down a bit. So yes, you will step up to the plate when it needs to happen. You will be that assertive, that in charge person when necessary. Maybe you have a high position at your job and you have to play that role. That's different. But in the home, the man is supposed to lead the home. The man is supposed to lead the family, and the woman is there to support the man, and the man support the woman as well. The woman also has her strengths, and this husband will support that woman to use those strengths in the home. So the difference is when you are with a toxic partner, sometimes some of them will pretend to be, I'm the man, right? Because here's the thing with toxic and narcissistic people, everything is about image, right? So they are going to present that image, especially to the public, that they are in charge and they are handling everything, right? However, you as a woman, your intuition is good enough to feel secure when it's genuine, when he really is in charge, when he really is there to nurture, to support, to guide, to lead. You see, in charge doesn't just mean I'm controlling you. That's not in charge. In charge means that you are exhibiting qualities in your space for the people in your circle to make them feel like he's going to lead us. I feel safe, right? So when you are in a toxic relationship, you're not able to let that masculine energy go, right? And here's another thing that they like to do. They like to criticize you that you are in too much in your masculine energy, right? However, they're not taking ownership that the reason you're not able really to sit back and be feminine, feel calm. You see, a woman is not going to sit back unless she feels safe to sit back. You understand? So don't let them criticize you for not sitting back because you see that they're not taking charge. In addition to being a mental health professional, provider, counselor, whatever you want to call them, clinical social worker by degree, in addition to that, and understanding human behavior, I was in a 10-year-long narcissistic relationship. Part of it was marriage. And what I experienced, and many of the clients that I've spoken with and other people that I've spoken with, they leave a lot up to you. It almost starts to feel like you are their mother. And some of them will do certain things again to present as if they are in charge. But you know, your spirit, your intuition, you know that you don't feel safe. They're not being responsible, or they're only being responsible sometimes, which still doesn't make you feel safe, right? So you're not able to, again, be in your feminine energy. And it is not healthy for you because even if you were raised in a certain way, you experienced certain things in your past, right? You can't go back in the past and change your childhood, as in my case, but at least you want to go into a new healthy situation, right? So with toxic relationships, narcissistic relationships, it feels like a burden. It feels heavy, and it sometimes feels like you are the mother, right? And that is not healthy for you, okay? So the second point here of what are the side effects of toxic relationships is that it can affect your self-esteem. It can lower your self-esteem. Now, before you sign off, let me say this, because I know if it was me, I'd be like, oh, that doesn't apply to me. I don't have a low self-esteem. Here's the thing. Many women that I know of who have been in these situations, including myself, most of the time we are strong women and we feel pretty good about ourselves. We feel pretty confident in ourselves, right? But here is the thing. There are certain parts of you where the self-esteem can be lowered without you really realizing it. And what happens is these people chip away at who you are. It's very gradual. I always compare it to a dripping faucet, right? Where if you open your tap a little bit in your kitchen right now and your faucet is dripping, drip, 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 it's not going to flood right away. But over time, it will create a mess in the kitchen, right? And that is how these people tend to break you down. And again, a lot of times you don't realize it, but once you come out of the fog, which means you're out of the relationship, you are detached from them, and you're starting to see things more clearly. You're working on it yourself, or you have support that you're working on it. You start to realize there were some parts of you that was a bit insecure. And it's probably something you did not have before. And it is because they chip away at you in different ways. They may criticize you. Some of them what I've experienced in my personal life, not only my romantic relationship, but I've also have family members who are narcissistic. I realize sometimes they use different strategies. You see, they become very strategic based on your personality. So in my family, some of the narcissists that have what they've used is humor, right? Because most women, especially women in my family, women that I've grown up around, we're not very docile women. Okay. So you can't just come at us just full force openly like that. So they would find ways to go around that, right? So maybe making jokes, criticizing you. And the minute you say you don't like something, it's like, oh, you're being too serious. Don't fall for that either. Don't fall for that either. Someone who loves you and respects you and wants you to only feel good, if you tell them a joke makes you uncomfortable, they're going to stop. They're not going to continue. There's many other jokes in the world to make. They don't have to continue to make a joke that does not feel good to you. So do not fall for that. Okay? But they will find ways to criticize you, whether it be your parenting, whether it be the way you dress, whether it be the way you cook, whatever it is, they will find ways to criticize you. And it may not be all the time. One of the things I've also noticed with these people is that they will mix it up. So they'll give you some compliments, but then they'll also give you some criticize you also, right? They will mix it up. So again, that is the reason a lot of people stay stuck in toxic or narcissistic relationships. It's another reason people feel guilty to leave because they're like, well, they're not all bad, right? It's a reason people question if they made the right decision to leave because they're like, well, they do compliment me, they do brag about me. Yes, they brag about you because it makes them look good. Again, remember, it's all about the image for them, okay? But regardless, do not think that because overall your self-esteem is high and you feel good in who you are, you feel confident in how you look, you feel good in the successes that you've made in your life. Do not underestimate the impact that they can have on your self-esteem when it's very gradual. Okay? And again, it's hard to see when you're in it, but when you come out, you realize like, wow, I wasn't sure about certain things that I would typically be sure about, or I needed their approval. I needed them to agree with me or to, approve my decision or to be happy with me, you know, whatever it is. I recall, I went on a trip. I came to the Caribbean to visit my family during this 10-year narcissistic relationship, and I came by myself. And I don't know how it came up, but I remember he was asking me to wire him $20. And there was a part of me, the logical part of me, that was like, first of all, I shouldn't have to wire you money. We're both working. Secondly, it's hard from the island that I'm on right now. Thirdly, it's embarrassing if my family find out I'm running to try to wire you $20. And thirdly, I don't know what number I'm on, thirdly or fourthly, it was like $20, you can't get it from anywhere else. So one part of me was like, this doesn't make sense, or what are you trying to test me? Like, what is this, And however, as confident as I am, I will never sit here, and I know everyone is different who go through toxic and narcissistic relationships, but for me, I never had a low self-esteem in the sense that I didn't feel confident in myself. However, this is where I saw, and again, this is something that I was able to discover as I was going through my healing journey. This is where I saw where my self-esteem was impacted because I was still yearning for his approval and satisfaction of me. So I really started to consider like, okay, how can I get him this money, this $20? You see how ridiculous that is? But in the midst of it, I was really trying to figure out how do I do this because I don't want him to be mad at me. Right? So it doesn't mean overall your self-esteem is low, but you are in a space where, and again, for some people, it will lower your self-esteem a lot more. In my case, I can't say it was drastic, but again, you're still functioning in a space where you're not really sure of the decisions you're making, right? Because again, if you were to ask me that now that I'm out of the fog, I've been through my healing journey, it's like, I would laugh at somebody. I'd be like, are you smoking something? Like, how can you ask me that? You know what I mean? So that's another way that you can be affected by toxic relationship. A side effect is lowering your self-esteem. And again, for some people, it's much worse. And keep in mind, all of these side effects we're talking about, these 4 side effects I'm bringing to you here today, it gives you more work to do once you come out of it. So if you are watching this and you are someone who is still in the relationship and you're, lingering on, should I go, should I not, do your research, get your support in place, and make the decision sooner than later, because these side effects that we're talking about here, it's not that once the relationship is over, that voila, all the problems disappear, right? The longer you stay in it, the more damage that is done and the more repairing that has to be done afterwards. Okay? So please keep that in mind. The third side effect I want to share with you about toxic relationships is underlying anxiety. Okay? Anxiety can look different for different people. And I use the word underlying anxiety because some people may have anxiety that's very clear, right? High levels of stress and worry, right? That is the general definition of anxiety. However, for others, it may come across in a different way. So, and this is something I don't hear enough about, because not everyone can identify with the typical definitions of anxiety or many other words that we use. So with anxiety for you, yes, you may feel more in a panic. You may feel more on edge. You may feel like you're worrying more, you're stressing more. And then for others, like myself, I noticed I was not worrying a lot. However, I was always on edge in the sense of I was always ready for combat, okay? And not in the physical sense, okay? But I knew that this person was going to create some level of conflict at some point. And because I have a strong personality, because I am not one to just take anything, I positioned myself to always be ready to snap back. If you say the wrong thing to me, I'm going to snap back. If you do the wrong thing to me, I'm going to snap back, right? We're talking verbal here, not physical. In my case, it was not physical. However, for some people, it can be physical, right? And let me say this. In my case, it was not physical, but there were actions to imply that it could get physical. Like there were a few times where things were thrown in my direction. So not at me, but in my direction. There were times where he ran up to me as if he was going to hit me, right? So keep in mind that is also abuse, okay? Someone does not have to put their hands on you in order for them to abuse you. Abuse is causing pain to someone else repetitively. Even if it's not consecutively, it is a pattern of causing pain to you and not having any remorse about it. Okay, so please keep in mind that is still abuse. That is still, it's just not an option. Okay, it's not an option. It should never be an option. It should never be okay. It's a major red flag. All right, so because I knew that this person was not about peace, right? Things could never be peaceful, and if it was short-lived. Subconsciously, again, a lot of these things I'm talking about, it's subconscious for some of us. For some of us, it's not. For some of us, it is. So subconsciously, I was always ready for war, right? So yes, I would enjoy the fun moments. If we took a drive somewhere, we went out, I would enjoy those moments. But subconsciously, I was always ready to snap. And where I noticed it, again, this is why it's so important to go through your healing journey. And your healing journey means evolving, understanding who you were and who you want to become. The 3 questions I focus on with my clients: what got you there in that relationship? What kept you there? And what parts of you needs to change to make sure you don't go back there again? And maybe not just with that person, but in any toxic and narcissistic relationship, right? So as I went through that healing process and answering those questions for myself, and that takes time, I was able to see that that's not healthy. It's not healthy to always be ready for combat. And what can happen is you can take that into your new relationship. So I had to then readjust as I got into my new relationship, my new marriage, to say, he's not here to hurt me, right? That goes back to the first point we were talking about feeling safe. When you feel safe, you don't feel ready to snap back because you know that that person only wants the best for you and for the relationship. They want peace. Okay? But this is a side effect of toxic and narcissistic relationships is that it can make you become a person that you're dealing with anxiety, you're dealing with worry, you're dealing with stress, and you're feeling on edge. And that on edge can mean that you are more timid, or that on edge can mean you are ready for fight, right? Another side effect. And the fourth side effect I want to speak about, and we kind of touched on this also, is that as we're talking about anxiety and stress, that can manifest physically for you as well. There are different women that I have spoken with that have been through situations like this, toxic and narcissistic relationships, and they have been to the doctor over and over, and the doctor is telling them, once they realize that they're in an unhealthy relationship, there is no medical explanation for the ailments that you have other than stress. We underestimate the effect of stress. You see, stress causes the hormone cortisol to release into our body, and excessive amounts of that hormone can cause many different health issues, mental issues, health issues, as well as physical health issues. So depression, anxiety, heart problems, sleep problems. Let me see, because I researched it here. PTSD, right? Gastrointestinal issues, so IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, stomach ulcers, right? Weakened immune system, so you're just more susceptible to getting sick. So what I encourage you to do, if you are having any health issues, maybe that's what brought you to this video today. You're wondering, like, I'm having all these health issues. What can it be? Go to your doctor, let them examine you. The other part I want you to do, which is hard to do, I've been there before as well. You want to also let them know. A good doctor, when they do a history taking, they're also going to ask about the social part of your life. How are things going on in your life? What is causing you stress? Because then the doctor can see that, okay, this person is dealing with some issues that's causing her stress, which could be a contributing factor for these health issues. Okay? So I hope that this was helpful for you. If you are in a space where you are wanting to get out of a toxic relationship, or you're out already, but you realize this is a challenging journey ahead of me, it's not a normal breakup, even regular breakups are difficult, go ahead and click the link in the description box below to find out more about my program, the Relationship Detox. It will be opening in the next couple weeks. In the next couple weeks. So anyway, go ahead and check it out. If it is not open, you can join the wait list. That will give you priority access because the spots are limited, and it will give you access to join early. If you have any questions, if any of this resonated with you, go ahead and put it in the comments below, and I'll be glad to answer some questions for you. If you are new here, go ahead and subscribe if this information served you today. And I will see you in the next video. Take care.